Oh, you know the song. Sing it with me.
All right.
Ella nació de aquí.
Marinheiro sou.
Ella nació en amor.
Marinheiro sou.
Eu sou da Bahia.
Marinheiro sou.
De São Salvador.
Marinheiro sou.
Marinheiro, marinheiro.
Marinheiro sou.
Quem pode ensinar?
Marinheiro sou.
Olha tambo do navio.
Marinheiro sou.
Olha belo do mar.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, lá vem.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, meu amor.
Marinheiro sou.
Ah, tudo de branco.
Marinheiro sou.
De São Salvador.
Marinheiro sou.
Ei, lá vem, lá vem.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, meu amor.
Marinheiro sou.
Ah, tudo de branco.
Marinheiro sou.
De São Salvador.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, lá vem.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, meu amor.
Marinheiro
Ah,
sou.
tudo de branco.
Marinheiro
De São
sou.
Salvador.
Marinheiro sou. What's the English translation of that song?
It's a song from the capoeira tradition. Capoeira, the African Brazilian martial art, and the song goes, "Eu não sou daqui, I am not from here." I'm not from here. That means a lot of things. Eu não tenho amor. I have no love. Eu sou da Bahia. I'm from Bahia. De San Salvador. In San Salvador. Oh, marinheiro, marinheiro. Oh, sailor. Quem foi te ensinou a nadar? Hey, who taught you how to swim? Or for example, for your tambourine navio, did you learn how to swim when your ship sank? Or for a balenciaga, or did the ocean teach you how to swim? La veine, la veine. Here she comes, here she comes. La veine, mi amor. I like the little chord. La veine, la veine, la veine, la veine.
La veine, more, yeah.
Here she comes, here she comes.
Yeah.
La veine, mi amor, here comes my love. Ah, tudo de branco, all tudo de branco. All dressed in white in San Salvador. Eu não sou daqui,
Marinheiro sou.
eu não tenho amor.
Marinheiro sou.
Eu sou da Bahia,
Marinheiro sou.
de San Salvador.
Marinheiro sou.
Oh, marinheiro, marinheiro.
Marinheiro sou.
Quem foi te ensinou a nadar?
Marinheiro sou.
Ou foi o tambo do navio?
Marinheiro sou.
Ou foi o balanço do mar?
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, lá vem.
Marinheiro sou.
Lá vem, meu amor.
Marinheiro sou.
Ah, tudo de branco.
Marinheiro sou.
De San Salvador.
Marinheiro sou.
Alrighty, having done that.
That's a fitting song for this chapter, I think.
Isn't that interesting? Song for martial art. Capoeira. You know, I got into capoeira about 50 years ago. 48, 46, something like that. I'll let Cedric when I talk to him, he keeps track of that. But
Kojo, that's capoeira.
that's one of the things that's happening here. In the book, I'm making him a capoeira practitioner, and he started studying in the book. He's 25 now. He started studying when he was 7 or 8, which is a good time to start. For those who know what capoeira regional is, as distinct from capoeira Angola. Angola is the older style. Regional is the more modern style. Regional dates from like 1937, and capoeira Angola dates from hundreds of years before that time. It's a long story, but when the Portuguese brought some African from Angola to Brazil, they immediately ran into the jungle, which just looked like the place they just came from, and established quilombos, little conclaves of escaped slaves who actually were never enslaved. Had the same thing happen here. But we can get to that at a later date.
Yes, please.
Today, right now, we're going on to chapter 18 with your...
No, 19.
Standing books. No, I'm sorry, 19?
19, please.
Wow.
Yes, we're coming along.
With your whip waving over me, telling me, stop all of that historical explanation and get with the job.
Yes.
Which is what I'm going to do at this time.
Yes, chapter 19.
Chapter 19. We're going right along here.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I like this. All right.
I like it too.
Oh, Lord, water.
Water? You have
At least
water?
it's got ice in it.
Oh, okay. Got something at the bottom too, but...
Those are little slivers of ginger. I like ginger water.
Oh.
It gives it a nice taste and it's healthy. Shall I begin?
Yes, please. Oh, what are you reading?
In chapter 19...
What book are you reading?
Oh, this book is called The Snake 2020.
The Snake 2020.
And
yes.
the cover, of course, is by Cedric Adams. And the cover photo is by, the back cover photo is by none other than Salena-Hawkins.
Right. Okay. Of the author, Odie Hawkins.
All right.
All right. I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get with this.
Yes, please.
Kojo is trying to get his stuff together to do this film company. Something he's calling My Production Company.
Our production company?
But before...
Is it my production or our production?
Our production company. Did I say mine?
Yes.
Well, I wrote it, so I'm saying mine. But it actually is our.
Please.
Our production company.
Yes, okay.
The scene starts off continuing from chapter 18, of course. Of course, before it skips my mind, I'd like to invite you to a family gathering tomorrow evening. She turned to him, fully aware of the implications connected with being invited to a family gathering. Should I wear something special? Wear what you got on if you want to. They made simultaneous moves toward each other. Their urge is fueled by good vibes and bourrée. It's a nice French wine. Let's take these things in first. No problem. What's for dessert? It all depends on you. She answered with a provocative smile. Later that night, after having massaged each other with fragrant oils and made slow motion love for long minutes, they curled up in each other's arms. Of course, I want you to be my wife. He felt her body stiffen as though an electric shock had passed through her system. Say that again? I said, I want you to be my wife. I want us to get married. She was silent, hardly breathing for a few beats. Don't you think this is a bit sudden? He stroked the side of her face and laughed aloud. I knew you would say that. I knew it. And did you prepare an answer? Yes, I did. My answer is, where have these past 2 years been leading us? He suddenly felt nervous, a bit uncomfortable with the idea of crying, of trying to pitch the idea of marriage. Kojo, please, don't misunderstand me. I do love you, you know that. But marriage is a big step. I know. The silence rang back in, thoughts trip-hammering through their heads. Kojo, are you sure this is the time for us? It's now or never. Was I a little too strong with that? Should I have softened it a bit? You sound pretty definite about this. I've never been more definite about anything in my whole life. Let me think on it for a couple of days, okay? It's the latest choice. They folded themselves together and gently slid off to sleep, each lulled by different thought patterns. What if she turns me down? What if she says no? Who will I turn to? I must not have a case of high self-esteem to think that he wouldn't want to marry me. Marriage? Mrs. Kojo Bediako Brown. No. Mrs. Akosua Ferguson Brown. So suddenly, maybe he found himself in Ghana. We'd be a dynamite couple, hip, into all the scenes, creative, strong. Yeah, it's got to be our coast. Ain't nobody else on the scene. The lush Technicolor dream cued him into the tropical theme. He was back in Sugarcane Alley on the island of Martinique, floating from one dream scene to another, absorbing the frank aromas of ripe fruit and under-odorized bodies. Click, clack! He was the boy who sat in front of the old man getting a history lesson. Click, clack! He was a singer of satirical songs. What more does a stinking nigger need but another low-paid job? He was the revolutionary plotting to free the island from the aftermath of French colonization. He stretched and slowly opened his eyes. A bright, beautiful, wonderful, gorgeous day. Wish I could film the day from opening yawn to closing yawn. Kojo, want some herb tea? Akosua called from the kitchen. Let me have the rose hips. That's what I'm in the mood for. He smiled at her liquid laughter. What the hell am I talking about getting married? Hell, we already married. He studied her approach to the bed with a tray of tea and toast. Akosua would not be the woman I'd have to hide from every morning. The thought came to him midway through his second cup of tea. Oh, I blew it. What? I had a date to do lunch with Sheila Buttram. Buttram Enterprises? Yeah, one and the same. We were scheduled to meet at 1:30 yesterday, but it completely skipped my mind. Maybe you can sew it back up. No, I was going to get together with her to back out of a deal anyway, so thus be it. I got another deal to back out of come Monday, a thing with Harry Dreiser. Wow, you pick on the big guys, huh? And why, may I ask, are you backing away from the gravy trains? He took a long sip of his tea before answering. I'm backing away from their thing to do my very own thing. She carefully placed her cup on the tray, placed the tray on the bedside table and crawled up into his arms. And I'm going to help you.
Oh, nice.
Kojo carefully wrapped each one of the small gifts in a piece of bright colored gift wrap, sealed them with scotch tape and artfully draped a bit of colored string around the packages. 5 worry boards for the math types, dozens of wrought metal figurines, a few gold rings, lots of earrings, Cynthia called scarves for the uncles, a couple of well-done carvings for mom and dad. Damn, glad that's finished. Now let me check out the messages. Sheila Buttram here. What's the deal, Kojo? Haven't you heard that it's impolite to stand the lady up? Click. The words were jocular, but the tone was steel flakes. Oh well, too late to do anything about it now. Charlie Baskin on the horn. Say, look, Kojo, it seems to me we ought to start looking at the future here. If you turn away from doing this jazz series, a 6-parter, what the hell are people going to think? Think about that. Yeah, Charlie, I hear. I understand your threat. If I don't come in under your wings, you can make things awfully cold for me. Okay, I understand. Look at this. I haven't been home a full week yet, and I'm on the treadmill. The Treadmillers, a play a friend of his written 10 years ago. The Treadmillers were anonymously garbed, shadowy figures who walked on conveyor belt sidewalks. Stage left, your right. Stage right, my left. They were short hoses sticking out from the TV sets placed at the head levels of the treadmillers. The White House was placed squarely at center stage, and off the stage left was unmistakably an outhouse. Periodically, the occupant of the White House walked the few steps to the outhouse. The minute the plumbing flush was heard, the conveyor belt sidewalk stopped, and the treadmillers, these are people walking up and down, the treadmillers rushed to suck on the hoses attached to the television sets. The treadmillers was never seen beyond 10 rehearsals. No, please, they'll never put me on the treadmill, not while I'm alive and kicking. The morning capoeira workout done, the beginning outline for the first film started, a pause for a glass of orange juice. Akosua decided to come in. Wonderful. Now all we have to do is tie it up within the next few weeks to honor my agreement, my obligation, my agreement with Asiafo. My agreement with Asiafo, my obligation. If I want to get what I want, one of the oldest stories in the world, a man who sells his soul to the devil in order to get what he wants. Kojo shook his head. No, I haven't sold my soul to anybody. I've simply made an agreement to get married. Feed a stranger when it comes. That means a lot of strangers are going to be well fed around here and do my thing. Maybe Asiafo is a film lover. Seems that he would be. What I say to the people I'm trying to pull into my club, they've heard it all of them from A to Z. I won't bullshit them. I'll just tell them straight up, here's the deal. Someone is bound to ask where the funds are coming from. I'll have to get there when we get there. He went to the fridge for another glass of orange juice. Akosua stepped away from her computer. No sense trying to be logical and sensible right now. I'm too excited for all that. Kojo asked me to marry him, and it took me less than a day to say yes. A nagging thought kept insisting she should have prolonged the suspense. No, that's something my mother would have done. Oh my God, mother. She strolled through her house and sat on the back porch steps. Look at the smog. We'll be wearing gas masks in a few years. Lovers will be committing suicide by leaving their masks off and standing up straight. But Akosua, we don't even know this young man. How could you even consider marrying him, and your parents don't even know him? We haven't granted approval or anything. The whining tone grated her nerves. Yeah, I can see it now. I guess I have to be the villain they think me to be by telling everybody as usual, kiss my ass, it's my life. Why do I have to continue to fight for my independence from the very people who should be the first in line to grant me independence? It's always a fight, always. Akosua? The name is Akosua, Dad. Akosua. Yes, of course. In any case, your mother and I are quite distressed at this move you're making. I'm buying a house in Echo Park. What's distressing about that? Well, think about it. You're only 22 years old. You're attractive. You'll be having visitors, male and female. Please let me finish. I don't think you've considered all of the ramifications. Mom, Dad, look, I've considered all the ramifications I need to consider. I've managed, through a friend in a real estate office, to get my hands on a choice piece of property, dirt cheap, and I'm going for it. But what's going to happen to us? We'll be worried sick about you. You'll have my phone number. And remember, Lamert Park isn't 1,000 miles from Echo Park. We'll visit each other when we have the time and energy. Ms. Akosua Ferguson Brown. Somewhat aristocratic, I would say. So, after 2 years, the brother's taking me to meet the family. I wonder what took him so long. I guess he wanted to be certain that I was the one. Well, let there be no doubt about it. I am the one. A gush of egotism pulled her up from the porch steps. Guess it's time to get back in here and put this outline together for my next masterpiece. Well, how do I look? Akos, you look absolutely gorgeous. You don't think this outfit is too colorful? Kojo smiled, watching Akosua whirl around nervously. Sweetheart, you have no idea where you're going, do you? The Friday night streets of Los Angeles, 8:30 p.m., passing by downtown. You know something about LA? I'm always thinking that it's a collection of villages and shopping malls looking for a place to call itself a city. She laughed, feeling gay, loose. For me, it has something to do with the lack of city patriotism. There's no, I left my heart in San Francisco, or Chicago, or even New York. It just all seems to be about freeways. It's about the size of freeway, LA, freeway, LA. Get out the way, I'm coming through on the freeway.
That's not in the book.
That would be a patriotic song.
Oh, Dad.
I left my Fender on the freeway.
Hopefully not.
I left my Fender on the freeway.
No.
Kojo had written a treatment for a film about LA, its lack of cohesion while he was in film school. He had placed the city in a surrealistic state, a place used as a dumping ground for other planets. Anthropologists of the future made frequent trips to study the monumental strips of concrete that stretched from here to there. The film review committee rejected it. He pressed for a reason for the rejection, as usual, and was told the project is too pessimistic. Here, capoeira tape to listen to. Eu não sou daqui, marinheiro sou. Eu não tenho amor, marinheiro sou. Miles to go to get to Mom and Dad in Watts, Compton, South Los Angeles. Coach, I didn't know your folks lived in Watts. Oh yeah, always. Since we moved out here from Chicago. It's hard to tell if it's Watts and Compton. There's sort of like a thin border here. 140th and Stanford, off of Avalon, South Los Angeles, formerly known as South Central. Kojo drove cautiously through the streets, making certain that he was within speed limits, racial profiling. You can't be too careful in this neck of the woods. You still have some mad dog cops around who have Rodney King on the back of their minds. A short street curving at the end, the family house tucked into the middle of the curve. They had to park on the next street. Looks like everybody's here, Close. Can you carry this small box for me? He reached into the trunk of his car and unloaded 2 fair-sized boxes and a small one. They struggled with the awkward boxes up to the front lawn of the family house when it seemed that the whole family rushed out to meet him. Kojo is here! Here, give me that, I can carry it. Come on in, come here. Akosua stood in the doorway for a few seconds, dazzled by the brightness of the scene. The huge front room was filled with relatives and everyone was dressed in one kind of African fashion or another. And I thought my light green and yellow was going to be too colorful. Kojo smiled at her reaction to the scene. There was African music backing the dancing, drinks passed around to the adults, warmth, joking, laughing, cheerfulness, good vibes. Akosua turned from the scene to see a distinguished man who looked like Kojo's older brother embracing Kojo, and after his embrace, a statuesque, dark-skinned woman with almond eyes. Akosua, I'd like you to meet my mom and dad, Mr. Kofi Brown and Mrs. Njinga Brown. Welcome, Akosua, welcome. Please feel at home. From that point, Akosua felt that she was about to be overwhelmed by the hospitality. First, she had to be introduced to every person in the house, beginning with Grandfather Kwame. I'm very pleased to meet you, sir. I'm even more pleased to meet you, the old man responded with a twinkle in his eye and a broad wink to Kojo. Auntie Amin, Aunt Deborah, Uncle Kwabena, Auntie Rose, Uncle Carlo, Auntie Afia, Cousin John, Cousin Ernest, Cousin Frida, Cousin Pokwa, Cousin Asavia, Cousin Ede, Cousin Kwasi, Cousin Carlo, and there are a few more cousins missing. They'll show up before it's over. The flavor of the gathering became solemn for a few minutes when Kojo's father, acting as grandfather's Ochame, asked, "I'd like to have your attention for a few minutes." The old man stepped lively into the center of the main room. "I want us to form a circle here around me, a big circle. Y'all know how to do it." The circle was formed quickly. The music clicked off. Now I want all in the circle to hold hands. I'd like to say a few words and offer a prayer. Akosua felt herself on the verge of tears. It wasn't Christmas, New Year's, nor were they in church, but the feeling was definitely sacred. She found the contrast with her own family gatherings pale, distant affairs in comparison to the togetherness she felt happening. I will make my remarks brief because I know how impatient younger people are these days. Impatient to do what? I don't know, but that's the prevailing vibe. Members of the circle smiled broadly as the old man slowly walked a slow, tight circle within the circle, seeming to direct his remarks to each member of the circle. Kojo smiled and shook his head from side to side with good feeling. Granddad was so hip. I, as the oldest living member of this clan, would like to say, "Welcome home, Kojo." The relatives sang it out as a chorus. "Welcome home, Kojo." Now, I don't want anybody to misunderstand me. I'm not saying welcome back to America, Kojo. I'm saying welcome home, Kojo. Once again, the chorus rang out, "Welcome home, Kojo." I want us all to bow our heads in proper respect for those great spirits who are responsible for being here alive today. Those wonderful men and women who refuse to break under the cruelest whippings and the greatest tortures ever invented to crush the human spirit. I want us to remember the spiritual possibilities they left for us to feed on. The incredible reservoir of strength and determination they left for us to drink from. I want us to repeat after me. We thank our ancestors. We thank our ancestors. We beg our ancestors to hear our thanks.
We beg our ancestors.
We beg our ancestors to hear our thanks.
We beg our ancestors to hear our thanks.
We praise our ancestors for having the determination to break out of slavery.
Amen.
Out of slavery. We praise our ancestors for having the determination to break out of slavery. Out of slavery. We beg our ancestors to continue to give their spiritual strength to our struggles to cope with life in this foreign land. We beg our ancestors to continue to give their spiritual strength to our struggle to cope with life in this foreign land. We promise to carry on and sacrifice for those yet unborn. We promise to carry on and sacrifice for those yet unborn.
Yes.
Now don't repeat this. Think the most positive thought you can think for a minute. For 1 minute, there was only the distant sound of an airplane, the honking of a car horn, a dog barking. Now the old man spoke up again. Repeat after me. Ashe!
Ashe!
Repeat after me. Ashe!
Ashe!
Quietly and smoothly, y'all did that good. Y'all did that good. Better than last time. Quietly and smoothly, the music segued in. The solemnity went to another level. The circle became pairs, duos, trios, people partying. Akosua remained in place, looking stunned. Hey, what's happening, sweet thing? Kojo, do you know how deep, how beautiful that was? Oh yeah, Granddad can lay it on you. Come on, let's get something to eat. Midway around the buffet table, Father Kofi eased up to them, holding Akuzua's 3 published books. Akuzua almost dropped her plate from surprise. Oh, my books, where'd you get them from? Akuzua, I'm a bookstone. I suspect that half the people in this house have your books. We're all readers. Sorry, I didn't mean to. No problem. Just like you have your autograph these before Kojo sneaks you out of here. It'll be my pleasure. The father slipped away as easily as he eased up to them. Akuzua suddenly had enough food on her plate. Kojo took note and nodded for her to join him out on the patio. You see, we have an outback too. A few people were strolling around having quiet talks. A few of the cousins, male and females, were there with their boyfriends and girlfriends. One of the cousins came over to them, took their plates, and led them to a small picnic table. Carlo, you begin to look more and more like Uncle Carlo every day. Yeah, that's what people tell me. What would you like to drink? Bring us a couple of glasses of white wine. Hey, that's a good choice. Uncle Kofi just copped a case of Blu-ray from Trader Joe's. Kojo and Akosua laughed with delight. Akosua looked across the table into Kojo's eyes, feeling pure pleasure with the atmosphere. Kojo, I love your family. I adore your family. I thank you for that, milady. Your wine, madame, sir. Thanks, Carlo. If you need anything, just call. This is delicious. What is it? Ground nut stew with fish. It is good, huh? One of Auntie Afia's specialties. Have a nice sip of that ice cold water. I've been refreshed enough to continue on to chapter 20.
Oh, yes.
Ground nut stew and white wine from France. Here's to your health. Bon appetit. Round about midnight, half the family gone, the other half sitting on the patio enjoying stimulating conversation. The visual media will give you the turning point in this country and deeper commitment to your own sense, our own sense of spirituality. Carlo, I'd like to agree with you on both points, but I can only go halfway. I would agree with you about the spiritual thing, but not about the media. The media is only a facet of it. What we have to do is create foundations loaded with money, organizations that fund, grant, fellowship for those of us who've been caught in the culture of poverty, as one sociologist put it. But don't you see, I mean, the media blitz could open the door to what do we do? Schwarzenegger and Jingle Brown signaled to Kojo and Akosua to follow her back to the house. The heat of the conversation with partisan participation waxed warm enough for them not to be missed. She led them into the library. Hope you guys don't mind, but I felt like having a little non-family conversation. Akosua wandered around the large room, staring at the titles of books, 6 tiers of titles mounting 3 walls. See something you like? Kojo asked her facetiously. I like it all. You must have the best collection of African American literature, studies, whatever you want to call it, in the country. You know how it is. If you own a bookstore, you have access to more stuff. I'm sure that's true, but do you know this is the first time in my life I've ever been in an African American home with a library? Don't misunderstand me. I've been in homes where there were books, but not a library. Fancy homes too. Most of the homes I can think of, the large panel bar was the centerpiece. Mrs. Brown smiled, liking Kojo's lady. Well, can we have one of those too? Can I offer you a little something? Cognac? Don't worry, Kojo, I got you covered. A little Bristol. We have milk, the cream, and a director bean. The Bristol cream is my favorite. Akosua watched her future mother-in-law sweep past, a gold and sea green caftan swaying majestically on her body to open a corner liquor cabinet. Kojo, your mother's like a queen. Yeah, I know, he whispered back. She poured cognacs for Kojo and herself, a Bristol queen for Akosua, served them from a silver tray. They sipped their drinks in unison. The room was walnut paneled, filled with strategically placed lamps, a sofa along one wall, 4 comfortable reading chairs, a desk, and chair behind it. Kojo panned the room and sighed. I've spent a lot of time in this room, lots of time. It's a good room to spend time in. A polite triple knock drew their attention to the door. Kofi Brown peeked around the corner with a mischievous look in his eyes. I knew Njinga had brought you two in here. The minute I looked around and didn't see the 3 of you, I knew. May I join the party? Mrs. Brown patted the cushion beside her on the sofa. I'm coming. Let me pour myself a couple of tots. He sprawled beside his wife, gave her an affectionate peck on the cheek. I hope y'all are not talking about the same thing they're talking about on the patio. No, Dad, we were just about to talk about me and Akosua. Mrs. Brown leaned over and playfully pinched her son's cheek. You rascal, you. Kojo smiled, fending off her attack. Well, isn't that why you invited us in here? Akosua loved the interplay, the naturalness of the mood within the family. Now, come on, Kojo, you know your mother wouldn't do no such thing as that.
Yes, she would.
Okay, guys, okay. So, I'm a manipulator, huh? Oh, Mom, don't take it like that. Yeah, Njinga, don't take it like that. Just come out and say, I've got to know this charming, beautiful woman that Kojo has brought home, and a writer to boot. They laughed at Father Brown's gentle sarcasm. Well, what's your excuse for being in here? I wanted to get to know this charming, beautiful young woman that Kojo has brought home, who's also a writer. The vibe was loose, warm, loving. Akosua laughed harder than the other 3. So this is what the Brown family is like. What's your family like, Akosua? Mrs. Brown slid in a light tone with a heavy question. Akosua looked at the couple in front of her, reached over to hold Kojo's hand. She suddenly felt a bit shy. It was an honest question that demanded an honest answer. Well, she smiled at their open expression. They were obviously saying, speak if you like, or don't speak. Well, to begin with, coincidentally, we have a Nukita family just like this. Father, mother, me. And there is the end of any other kind of resemblance. Oh, I have relatives out there, and an aunt on my mother's side that I talk to about once a year. She's in New Orleans. And my father's oldest brother in New York, and cousins scattered here and there. But I couldn't really call us the Ferguson family, not in the sense that you guys are family. I don't want to make it sound as though I'm running anybody down, but I have to be honest about this. We have a collection of individuals. They're not very warm to each other. They're not. Mrs. Brown reached for her sherry glass. Kojo is driving, so I can top you off, okay? Akosua nodded, thank you, and wanted to continue to unburden herself. My family isn't supportive spiritually. Yes, I have to say that I've been well taken care of materially. Dad's an architect and Mom owns 4 boutiques. 2 of them are in Beverly Hills. Mrs. Brown raised her eyebrows. Beverly Hills?
Okay.
But they haven't been supportive of the inner me. The creative me. Mom has been after me to join the Young Republicans organization. Father Brown whistled through his teeth. Kojo's jaw dropped, and Mother Brown took a healthy swig of cognac. But what about your writing? You're one of the finest in the country. And I'm not just saying that because you're here either. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I really appreciate that. But we've always had a snag there, too. Mom has always felt that my books were too much involved with people living sinful lives. And Dad felt uncomfortable about a girl calling that much attention to herself. It's been, as the saying goes, an uphill struggle. But above and beyond everything, I know they love me, and I love them too. A silently collected sigh seemed to be released in the room. Now then, if nobody has any objections, I'd like to switch the subject to something a little bit more romantic. Three curious faces turned to Kojo. He played with their attention artfully for a full 10 seconds. Akosua and I are going to be married. She's going to be my wife. Kofi and Njinga Brown turned to each other and embraced, and then exchanged hugs with Kojo and Akosua. Father Brown jumped up and started out of the room to shout the news. Dad, no, not yet. They'll know soon enough. I just want to keep it with us for the time being. Whatever you say, son. He freshened his drink, reseated himself next to his wife. The air of the room was suddenly glowing with electrical feelings. Akosua looked stunned by the announcement. So this is what it feels like when the favorite son tells his mother and father that he's going to marry you. Wow. You two set a date yet? Not yet, Mom, but it'll be soon. I am very, very pleased with your choice, Kojo. I'm sure you know that, else I wouldn't say so. I know you would, Ma. I know you would. And I'm glad to be able to say we can look forward to some grandchildren before we get too old to enjoy them. There was a sudden awkward pregnant pause. Yes. As though nothing else could be said. Kojo decided to work them through it. Mom, Dad, I think the fat lady has sang. They stood and did another round of embracing. It's getting late, and my goodness, it's 1:30. I didn't know it was that late. They strolled out of the library to find a deserted house, save for a few cousins doing after party, tidying up.
Oh, how nice.
A few last embraces, and Kojo had artfully steered them to the front door. Kojo, keep us up to date on things, okay? Yes, Mom, we'll do. Remind them, Akosua, you know how these men are. Don't worry, Mr. Brown, I'll do my job. That's the spirit, sweetheart. That's the spirit. Bye now. Bye. Kojo and Akosua linked arms and strolled to his car, each humming a nonsensical little tune. They sat in the sun near the Hermosa Beach pier, staring at the great black horizon punctuated by single spots of light. See, that's what's been bugging me for a long time. The media emphasis, the racist emphasis on the dysfunctional African American family. They almost never popularized my type of family. You got that right. That was one of the sole points we had, this first publisher I had for Stolen Souls. That was your first one, right? And then, yeah, that was the first one. And then the newest tribe, the chosen folks, and now outlaws. Oh, Kojo, what? I forgot to autograph your father's books. Don't worry about it. You can drop into the bookstore anytime. You were saying, yeah, about my problems with my first publisher. He tried to get me to slant things that way, make it seem like the dysfunctional African-American family, the aberrant relationships some African-American men and women have with each other is just simply an element that's always been there. It's the norm. There's supposed to be no pre-life, no catalyst, no motivating factors, nothing. It was just in us to be messed up. Yeah, they never want to deal with how much they messed us up. I guess they would force them to deal with how much they messed themselves up. Men having babies with their daughters, raping their mothers, selling their sons, having babies with babies, motherfuckers.
Okay.
I read that book too. There was some slick shit happening back then. There's no doubt about it. The glitter of the moon on the water's surface, a glimmering, shimmering dance, took him back to Africa for a minute. If I were in Ghana, I would marry Akosua and Grace. The thought held him captive, made him smile. That nice, huh? He moved closer to her and wrapped his arms around her shoulders. Yeah, that's nice. They kissed, tuned to the soft lapping of the ocean against the pier pilings. I think it's time for us to go home. They stood and brushed the sand from their bottoms, started plodding through the sand. Kojo turned to stare at the face of the moon. It seemed to have a sardonic look on its face. Am I marrying this woman because I really love her? Or is it because of something I want? Am I marrying her just because of the agreement I made? Before they reached the car, he was reluctantly forced to admit to himself he wouldn't have asked her to marry him had it not been for the agreement. I'm sure I would have asked her to marry me eventually. The thought that he was, to some extent, using her to further his own ends made him feel vaguely ashamed. 10 a.m. Saturday. The lushness of the film's multiplied looks at the human psyche swirled around in his head, made him blink in his sleep. Some would prefer Bergman, I know, with his Swedish aunts. But I'll take Fellini and his Juliet of the Spirits, La Dolce Vita and his 8.5 any day. Giulietta Messina, Marcello Mastroianni, the incredible faces that he used to make his points, the fearless ways he had of probing through the emotional layers of making people reveal their inner selves. I bet Sophia Loren probably became an actress under Vittorio De Sica's direction. Interesting thing about the Italians. Their movies, when they're good, are as complex as their food, filled with different spices and flavors. I wonder if there's a northern style of Italian filmmaking and what might be considered a southern style. And who would be most representative of each region? Wonder what Roberto Rossellini would be doing now if he were alive. Paisan, an open city, gave us something to really feast on, but mainly because of Anna Magnani. I think he slipped badly with Stromboli. Not a good movie. Akosua, maybe it had something to do with the number he played with Ingrid Bergman, getting her pregnant and all. That must have really been a biggie back then. The crystal clean Swedish actress who had played a nun in Bells of St. Mary's getting pregnant by a greasy-headed wop. I think she had twins too. Or was that the second time around? I have to check out my film history book for that one. Oh, I forgot. Akosua popped up to a sitting position, startling Kojo from his film reverie. Hey, what's wrong? What happened? She was already reaching for the bedside phone. Just remember, got a date to go shopping with my mother this morning. She'd probably call in my house at 8 o'clock this morning to remind me. I can just imagine the conversation he's having with my father now. I just called Cynthia. I'm sure that they use that name when I'm not around. And she's not at home. She must have stayed out overnight somewhere. Mom, this is Akosua. What time are we getting together? Yes, I know you called. I have the message on my machine. I had some errands to do this morning. I thought it would be a good idea to get that out of the way before we got together. Well, Mother, you didn't actually set a time. We agreed to Saturday. Yes, Mother, I understand all of that. But we didn't set a time frame. I'll be there at 11:30. No, I can't make it before then. No, Mother, I can't. It's 10:15 now. Mother, are we going to talk all morning or what? Good. See you in a few minutes. Bye.
Oops.
She hung up and looked at Kojo with a sad expression in her eyes, as though to say, see what I have to go through? Kojo smothered her in his arms and trickled little kisses from her ear to her neck. Hey, you better stop that or else there will be no shopping done on this particular Saturday. Kojo reluctantly released her, feeling for her. Damn, what a bitch it must be to have parents like that. He listened to Akosua hurriedly prepare herself for her ordeal, toothbrushing, quick shower, makeup, dressing. Kojo, I think I could persuade you to run me over to my place to pick up my car. He was already sifting on the side of the bed waiting for her summons. Why don't I just drive you straight to your parents? If you did, I would be at my mother's tender talons all day long. In my car, I'll be able to call the shots, you know what I mean? Yeah, I guess so, he mumbled and shuffled off for a quick shower. They traded a quick set of kisses in her doorway and then another quick set. Kojo, I had a beautiful time last night, thank you. I'm sure we'll have many, many more of them. I'm looking forward to it. When will I see you again? Anytime. I'm going to be dealing with from my own turf for the next few weeks with little ins and outs from time to time. Call me tomorrow. Good. Akos, one last question before you go. You know, I've been hearing you talk about your parents, your mother and father, for 2 years. I've never heard their names. Harvey and Minerva. Oh, I see. He watched her race up the steps, dash into the house to change her dress into purple slacks, and dash back out waving to him as he backed out of the driveway. Poor baby. Imagine being obligated to go shopping with your mommy and your daddy and all the rest of the stuff you've been trying to break away from. And these are going to be my in-laws?
Yeah.
The idea jarred him for a moment. Looks like I got work to do. Saturday morning, I got my tennies and sweats on. Think I jogged the track up in Griffith Park a couple of times. Yeah, bro, Kojo, look like you have work to do. Akosua turned up the street leading to her parents' palatial home, feeling irritable. Why should I have to go shopping today? I could have spent the day with my man, doing a picnic in the park or something. Yeah, well, I guess I owe him a little time. I haven't been over here since last week. If only my mother wasn't so manipulative. So, Akosua, come around. We're having coffee on the patio. Akosua started up the long driveway that fed into a 3-car garage, gritting her teeth. Akosua. Why can't they learn how to say my name correctly? They can pronounce every Polish name, every Greek name, every foreign name in the book, but they just don't seem to be able to manage Akosua. She turned the corners and took in the yards and yards of rolling green back lawn, her mother and father seated at their filigree iron breakfast table being served by Dolores, the Mexican maid. She strolled onto the patio, dutifully pecked her mother's cheek, her father's cheek, and sprawled in a chair opposite them, the very picture of a successful urbane couple. Dad with just the right amount of gray at the temples and good golf shape, rather handsome in a rough-cut way. Mom, neatly built, always immaculately curled and manicured. So, you finally made it. Her mom spoke sweetly, but her undertone was accusing. Yes, I finally made it. Mr. Ferguson smiled benevolently and sipped his coffee. Coffee smells good. Hola, Dolores, un taza de café, por favor? Si, señorita. The maid beamed at her. She was obviously her favorite Turkison. Mr. and Mrs. Ferguson frowned. Sweetheart, why must you insist on speaking to the help in such a familiar way? Mom, Dolores has been in this house for 10 years. Don't you think we should be somewhat familiar with each other by now? I don't think it hurts to speak a little of our own language to her. Now, you two, let's not start off our Saturday with an argument. Harvey Ferguson broke in with attempted rough humor. His wife cut a sharp eye in his direction.
Oops.
Gracias. Akosua sipped her coffee, mentally measuring and comparing the differences between her parents and the scene she'd just been a part of the night before with Kojo and his family. I don't think I've ever had a good time with my mother and father. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I've always expected too much, or I was asking for something they didn't have. What are they doing? Just going to say when I tell them about Kojo. The thought made her smile. So when are we going shopping and for what? Akosua felt like withdrawing the question. It seemed to convey the feeling that there was no need to go shopping. For what? They had everything they needed already. Her father answered, well, your mother and I have decided to do a little cruise to the Caribbean next month. Thought we'd pick up a few cruise things. That's great. You guys deserve a break. The Caribbean? That ought to be fun. It will be, her mother said grimly and stood. It was time. Mom, Dad, I'll drive. I'll give you guys a better opportunity to focus on what you want. Mrs. Ferguson saw through her daughter's ploy immediately. If you drive, we'll have to measure our time by your clock, and you'll leave us as soon as we return home. Sounds great to me, Minerva. Are you ready? Let me get a scarf. Crenshaw north to Wilshire, because Miss Ferguson hated being on the freeways, west on Wilshire into Beverly Hills. Akosua, first thing I have to do is stop at the boutiques for a moment or two. Sylvia wants to talk to me about the new line that the Japanese want to bring in. Akosua, I'm going to have to straighten her out about before this day is over. I see it coming. She looked up into the rearview mirror at the aristocratic-looking brown-skinned woman, pointing out people, places, and things to her indulgent spouse. Which shop do you want me to stop at first? We're closest to the latest. That's what she calls her shop.
The latest.
Well, we're closest to the latest. Let's go there. This was the one area that Akosua felt thoroughly impressed by her mother. A black woman who owned 2 successful boutiques in Beverly Hills, one in the Valley and one in Malibu. I've always wanted to deal in fabrics, hats, jewelry, that sort of thing. The sore point between them is that most of the employees in all 4 stores were white. Akosua, there's nothing personal in this. I just try to get the best qualified people to run the places. What makes my job which makes my job so much easier, don't you see? The latest. Ah, madame, you are here. Akosua followed her mother and father into the glass paneled shop. Women like to look at themselves. Concealing the urge to sneer at the manager. The manager, a middle-aged, very svelte Jewish woman from Cincinnati, powdered a French accent that was obviously gleaned from French movies. Akosua idly fingered her way through a rack of dressing gowns, peripherally studying her father, who would settle into the waiting chair. As her mother and the manager huddled over a sheet of papers, the old girl must know how to do something right. She's worked out a situation that allows her to do a round robin of her shops once a week, and so far as I know, she isn't losing any money. 45 minutes later, they made a similar entrance at the place.
Okay.
Carefully developed operation managed by a woman who resembled a sophisticated mannequin. Mom, did you say something about shopping? Akosua whispered in her mother's ear after 30 minutes of going over figures, costs, outlay, overhead, and a dozen other items with her manager. Once again, Akosua studied her father's actions. He must be one of the world's most patient people. Over the years, she had watched him wait while her mother, his wife, tried on shoes, wait for his wife to get home from a meeting, wait. Well, I guess that's what you do if you're a wealthy, semi-retired architect with an ambitious wife. Harvey, Akosua, shall we?
Oh, my.
Monique, I'll call you tomorrow to give you my final word on this matter. Yes, Mrs. Ferguson. Akosua had to smile, following in her mother's wake. What a dictatorial old bitch she is. After an exhausting 3 hours of watching her mother try on dozens of exotically shaped straw hats, sunglasses, beach jackets, and sandals, Akosua was beginning to feel a deadly sense of boredom. Guess I must have taken after my dad. Look at him. He brought himself 2 pairs of gaudy shorts and a pair of Mexican sandals, and he's ready to go back home.
Mm-hmm.
Mom, you think you have everything you need for your Caribbean holiday? I think so, for the moment. Harvey, you promised us lunch, remember? I did? And that brings us to the end of chapter 20. And we'll be going on to chapter 21 tomorrow.
Yes.
Same time.
Oh, that was
same
so
place.
nice. Oh,
Families and
families.
people getting together
Really,
to do things, and people being who they are, and
one family so diverse from the other family, but both of them African American families.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
All right.
Don't you see?
Yes.
I don't want to jump up and down, but I've gotten so tired of reading these books about this one dysfunctional family. You know, the boy's on drugs, the mother's a hoe, the little sister ran away. You know, oh man, just give me a break. I mean, you know, in this case, I was determined to have everybody doing some upbeat stuff, despite the mother with all of her managed, what do you call it, dictatorial ways and all of that. She's still doing something upbeat.
What was the name like that?
Minerva?
Yes.
That's a famous old Greek name.
Okay, yes.
I mean, and if you picture the joke of it, and you remember the story of Harvey, the rabbit,
Oh, yes.
I picture a father and son of a Harvey. You know, who's
It would have to be.
he's kind of tall and patient, you know.
Yes, okay. Well, that is reading of chapter 19 and 20
Yeah.
of the Snake 2020.
Snake 2020.
Okay, which can be purchased on Amazon, Barnes or Noble.
Right here.
Yes, indeed. Amazon, Barnes or Noble, at your local bookstore. Yes. There you go.
At your local bookstore.
At your local bookstore, just go in and say, I want a copy of the Snake 2020.
Or you could just walk in there and say,
Moving right along. Your website.
where the snake is. 2020.
Yes, you'd have to difference between the snake, the original. Anyway.
Be a snake.
No. Anyway, your website is
I'm just
www.odiehawkins.com. You're also on the Amazon authors page. And for those who enjoyed the reading, if you like these moments in time with Odie and Zola, please subscribe to our channel. And so
obviously we're having fun. So
we are having fun. Hope you are too. Hope you're enjoying this. And glass of water with ginger in it. Interesting.
it's water. I won't do that again.
I know you bet that.
I don't like water.
Well,
I mean, I do like water.
of course. With that said, and tales that you tell, until tomorrow.
Tomorrow.